Hey everyone, and welcome to another Living Life Naturally podcast. I am, of course, your hostess, Lynn Wadsworth, a holistic health and wellness coach working with women in midlife. And today, my special guest is Debi Carlin Boyle, and she is a fitness and nutritional professional with over 2 decades of experience in the fields of health and wellness as well as commercial production. Her credibility in these fields is well established, having worked at some of West Los Angeles' most prestigious gyms and with a numerous group of fitness and health enthusiasts. And those people include David Duchovny, Nick Nolte, Kyra Sedrick, Kevin Bacon, Gabrielle Reese, Jamie Kurtz, David Steinberg and Jennifer Beals, among others. A believer in the fundamentals of fitness and diet rather than fleeting trends, Debi helps her clients maximize their genetic potential through her back to basics approach by following her balanced exercise, diet, and lifestyle regimens. Her clients see results that are not just dramatic, but more importantly, lasting and sustainable for their continued healthy lifestyle. And Debi is spreading her no-nonsense and holistic approach to health and wellness through online video blogs, magazine articles, her live streaming radio show, Balanced Life with Debi Carlin Boyle, conversations connecting to a healthier you, and her soon-to-be released book on aging young, another multimedia content. Her authentic and creative approach to health is a breath of fresh air in a market that's totally saturated by so-called quick fixes, and her extensive experience in production gives her an accessible and transparent voice. Debi's goal is to help the widest possible audience achieve a long and healthy life. So welcome to the podcast today, Debi.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm so excited to be with you today. Thank you. I'm honored.
Super thrilled to have you here. And my gosh, you've got quite a lineup there of celebrities that you've worked with. So that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure to work at gyms on the West Side, Malibu most specifically. And a lot of them I became friendly with, and a lot came to my classes, and some I worked with as well, one-on-one. But it was really my location that was my advantage, but it was great. And I got to work with, all kinds of people, but working with people in the industry was really nice as well.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I love the way that you highlighting here, because I know you and I are of a similar mindset about these quick fixes, and we all know quick fixes absolutely do not work. So tell me a little about your processes when it comes to working with your own clients and in your own life.
Yeah. So, I kind of use myself as an example. I have to go with that. And as we know, diets don't work, and there's over 100 dietary theories out there. And it's not to say that some aren't good or that some don't create a new lifestyle, but really what we have to think about is sustainability. And what is it that's going to be exactly that, a new healthier lifestyle. So in order for there not to be a quick fix, sure, I have clients that have an event coming up or are like getting in shape for a competition of some kind. And then we'll move fast. We'll do sort of the, what was that show? That was that celebrity, or not celebrity, but that boot camp show. We'll do something to that effect. But that's not sustainable, and that's a quick fix. And not only is it not sustainable, it isn't good for you either. I mean, putting your body into a yo-yo diet mode or even yo-yo exercise mode it's pulling away, it's breaking up, it's tearing down your cells, your mitochondria is suffering, and we want to keep the energy cell, our energy pack in our cells really strong. And to do that, we have to be more consistent. So I try to introduce to my clients both, because I'm a personal trainer and a health coach. So both from a full circle point of view, how we're going to find new ways, sustainable ways of working our bodies, moving our bodies, and nourishing our bodies. And everybody's so individual. So I don't have one particular way. I mean, we do have certain universal things that we know that work for everybody. But for the most part, I listen to their story, hear their background, hear what their nemesis is, you know, whether it's sugar, in most people's cases it is, because there's an addictive component to that, or salt, or, you know, they just don't have an exercise background or a desire to exercise. So I listen to their story and we break it down and we start from scratch. Small, actionable steps is the best way, I think, to go.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And that's kind of how I approach it. And of course, we all know people's mentality is this diet mentality, and it can be quite difficult to get them out of that mode into that thinking of let's do this so that it's sustainable throughout our lives. And I'm specifically interested because you got this book coming out that I'm fascinated to read, Aging Young. And so what should we be aware of as we age with regards to things, not just like lifestyle adjustments, but also with our self-care regimen?
Yeah. So, I mean, self-care should always be the priority. I mean, if you take care of yourself, then you've already set yourself up to take care of everybody else around you. When you make yourself fall back in line as you age, you know, everything else is going to fall down, because things fall down anyway. So, you know, so we don't want to add to that. We don't want to, you know, add salt to the wound kind of thing. So, but I don't want people to think of aging. I want them to think of it more. And I know you have this mindset, and more of it has a renewal or a new way to think of things. And so in order to do that, it's best to be educated about what happens to our bodies when we age. And what is it that we sort of have to counterbalance, because we're not in our 20s or 30s anymore when our metabolism is high, because we have a hormone level that is higher than it was. Usually you're at your highest in like your late teens and early 20s, but you know, and then you start to kind of go down from there. But by the time you get to your mid 40s, mid 50s, and in my case, mid 60s, we want to be aware of what's changing in our bodies and how we should adjust to what we're doing, both from a whole overall lifestyle level. So keeping in mind that our self-care is the priority and most important. So what happens as we age? So what I just mentioned, our metabolism slows down. That's got a lot to do with hormone loss. And so when that happens, we start to lose our strength. We start to lose our ability to lift heavier things. So we have to adjust our exercise, but we still have to push weight, right? Now, again, I'm talking more from, you know, averages than I am individualizing, because that I work with my clients. If they've been working out their whole life and pushing weight, we can keep that level to a certain point, but we can't keep it up. And I know that for myself. I'm not pushing the same way I was pushing 10, 15 years ago. And I've had to adjust. The other thing is our heart rates slow down. And every year, I think we slow down like 5 beats a minute, something like that, after age, I think it's after age 55. I have it here in my notes. But so as that slows down, we can't try to go run a marathon at a certain pace and try to keep our heart rates we want to be smart about adjusting to where we keep it. And everything, you know, like our skin starts to sag. So what do? Weight resistant training really helps with that. Good diet really helps with that. Sweating helps with that. A little cardiovascular exercise helps with the heart capacity. It also helps I like to say my favorite products to use on my skin as I age are sweat and hydration. And that is really important because we're starting to lose everything. We become more dehydrated and we tend to drink less water as we age. In fact, we should always, no matter how old we are, drink half our body weight in ounces. So measure that out. That's an easy calculation to figure out. Take your body weight, put it in half, turn it into ounces, and then go get a 4-cup measuring cup and start measuring the water, put it in, a container. I have a big glass container I keep it in. And I know there's 4 cups in that container. So when my first 4 cups is gone, I'll go to the next 4 cups. And I have to drink 52 ounces to meet my quota. But if I'm teaching one of my spin classes or doing a hot power yoga class, I got to drink even more. So I'll take it up another 4 to 8 glasses that day. So we need to be aware of that because that's going to help everything stay more balanced from the inside out, from the outside in. And the other thing that slows down is, or we have loss of, is bone loss. And everything I just mentioned helps with bone loss. And one of the other things is sleep, of course. Rest is most important. 7 to 9 hours is the general across the board recommendation. But if you get, a little bit less on a normal basis, your body might be conditioned to that, or a little bit more. But you don't want to get into the 10, 12 hour unless it's, you're ill and your body's trying to recover from something. And you don't really want to get under 5, 6 hours either, because what our bodies do at night is they recharge, they replenish, they reset. And if we don't give them the opportunity to do that, we get lost somewhere in between the process, because that's when we metabolize everything that we've done, that we've put into our body, the fuel that we put in during the day. So it's so important that we give it a chance to metabolize, so we get the vitamins, the minerals, and the nutrients our body needs to absorb into our bloodstream to keep us healthy, aging young. The other thing that happens, talking about that, is our digestive tract slows down.
Yes.
So because of it, we need to eat a little bit less. You and I have talked about this, I know. So I have daughters in their 30s, and we'll go out and they're like, Mom, and I'm in my mid 60s. And so, Mom, you're eating like a bird. Why aren't you eating? You're not, well, number one, I'm eating healthily, but number two, I'm eating for my age. And we need to keep that in mind, because you very rarely see, this is just sort of an observation, people in their late 70s and 80s who are obese. And the fact is they don't live as long because they didn't age young, because they overate, they overstimulate, they had body fat that caused some sort of disease, heart disease, cancer, autoimmune diseases that took them down faster. And that's the point. We want to go down gracefully. We want to age young. We want to be able to have longevity with quality. And now that I have a grandchild, that's more important to me than it's ever been before. So those are the things to be mindful of, because bone loss is something that we can stop, that we can ward off. We do need to educate ourselves about our bodies and our percentage of bone loss, where it's coming from. Usually it starts in the back or the hip. And there are great places out there to help you. There's a place called OsteoStrong that I think is throughout our country. And you can look them up. And for going in even 1 day a week, you could stop and reverse bone loss. So it's something, because we don't want osteoporosis. That's when we start hunching over and stuff. And that's something that comes with age. And so we can also ward off your ability to, because that's the other thing that happens. We have hearing loss, we have sight loss. We can slow that process down through self-care and good lifestyle. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I say those things about aging.
So now you've talked about exercise, and I know that you've talked about building your muscle, but I get this question a lot. What are the best types of exercise to do as we age? I realize that we're not pushing it like we did, but really what's going to benefit the most?
So it depends. It kind of, I've done a lot of research on this. I have it all out, and it kind of goes by the decade, So for instance, let's say in our 20s, we do like 30 minutes of weight training, followed by 30 minutes of cardio 3 times a week, plus 45 to 60 minutes of straight cardio 3 times a week, and then choose a day of rest. So that's 6 days a week, 1 day of rest. By the time we hit our 30s, we're at 1 hour of, this is just generalized. Again, where you individually are, but 1 hour of circuit training, cardio and resistance 4 times a week, plus at least 1 day of cardio for 45 to 60 minutes of high intensity. And again, you want to take 1 day off. But by the time that we hit our 40s, we're 1 hour of cardio 3 days a week, plus 45 minutes of cardio 5 days a week, take 1 day off. And then we get to our 50s. And this is when we start to see significant change in our bodies. So 4 to 6 cardio sessions a week. So when we say cardio sessions, you could walk. That's going to bring your heart rate up, and you can monitor that. You can use your phone. You can get a watch or some kind of, monitoring appliance that you wear, piece of jewelry that you wear. So 20 to 40 minutes each day, a half an hour of weight training in your 50s twice a week, and take a day or 2 of rest. And always, I suggest this for everybody, but by the time you hit your 50s, always stretch after your workout, not before. So you don't want to stretch a cold muscle. So if you're going on to the tennis court, let's say, and or for guys, maybe a basketball court, and you see them kind of stretching in the corner, they should actually be running in place or doing some kind of dynamic move, swimmers, or, pushing their arms, just getting your blood pumping, getting warmed up before you stretch. And the reason being is because doing exercise, especially, even weightlifting, but doing cardio exercise without some kind of warm up first, or stretching without some kind of warm up first, could snap a muscle. So you can hurt something, you can pull something. I always use this analogy to think of your muscles like a piece of taffy. Remember the old school taffy that you get in the little,
yes.
So taffy is hard. Okay, so think of that as a muscle. But when you start warming it up between your fingers and going like this, and you can actually stretch it like silly putty almost.
Right.
That's your muscle. Just visualize that as a muscle. So you want to warm up your body first. And then when you're all super warm at the end of your workout is when you're really limber. And that's when you should be stretching. So that's your 50s. And then your 60s, 3 days a week of something challenging. Okay, so if you've been walking, maybe you can either pick up your pace or start doing some hills. If you've been doing something a little bigger than that, let's say a spin class, maybe you can pick up your resistance and pick up your speed a little bit. Keep an eye on where your heart rate is, but do something challenging, challenge your body, or just something new. Take a dance class, do something that your body's maybe not quite complacent with and not that used to, that takes you up a notch. But you don't want to get too exhausted with cardio. So you need to be able to really talk to the person next to you. So if you're walking and you get out of breath, or you're taking a spin class, or you're riding a bike and you can't speak, then you're overexerting. And then that's something that is slowed down through the decades. So you don't want to overdo that. And then also, I suggest daily balance exercises. So I used to do yoga back in my 30s and 40s. And then all these other sort of high intensity cardio things came into my life, like spin classes and outdoor cycling and Taibo classes and step classes and all those things. And I let the yoga kind of slide back. Well, this past year, both my daughters are yoga instructors. But this past year, I put yoga back in, because at this age, in this decade, this 60s decade in my life, nothing could be more important. So, and you don't have to do the power flows or even the hot yoga, but they have restore classes that I've been doing because I do have knee issues from all the high cardio stuff I did. They have slow, what they call, it's not slow yoga, it's gentle. It's called gentle yoga. So it's all the postures, but you hold the positions for a longer period of time. And there's really not a yoga class out there that doesn't appeal to every decade, to every person at every age. So I recommend it all the way through, but definitely 50s and 60s. I think it's important. And so by your 70s and beyond, you should always warm up. I have, my oldest client is 87, and we warm up for 10, sometimes 15 minutes. We do dynamic warm-ups. We do some step tapping. We do arm rolls and just reaches to the ceiling, because she needs more time to warm up, to get her muscles to warm up. So think about your warm-ups being a little bit more extended. And then 15 minutes or so of low-level moving or exercise. And that may be simply sitting in a chair. In her 80s is different than she was. I've been training her for a while. So I did have her as a client 10 years ago. I used to have her march in place. Now I have her sit in a chair and march in place. And she can sit, kick, push back down. Not only is she working her lower body, she's getting her heart rate up, and she's doing cardio movement that way. And calisthenics is really good, and dynamic movements are really good for that when you age. Now, granted, when I say 70s and beyond, I really mean you should never stop moving. I'm telling you that this is going to extend your life. Movement is part of life, as well as breath is, and I highly recommend breath works too, or just being aware of your breath, which yoga will bring to you and meditation will bring to you. So that's another part about aging young, is to take these exercises and to include meditation or some kind of time where you're alone in your thoughts. And guided meditation, for me, works the best. It doesn't have to be, but you're also aware of your breath. You need to be uber aware of breathing and breath work as well. And then the last thing, of course, is strength training. So you keep pushing some kind of weight when you get older. As you get older, the weights go down, the reps maybe go down, but don't stop. And that's my recommend for exercise.
Great. I know that I was very thankful to grow up in a country like England where, it was the norm to have to walk and go to the grocery store or walk to the produce stand. Whereas, here now in the States, everything is, you get in a car and you go. So I recommend people that if they can do some kind of movement, even like grocery store shopping and park at the other end of the parking lot just to get yourself moving. I know as we age, it's just so important, that movement, so important.
Nothing more important besides what we put in our bodies.
Yes.
So the three things are eating well, non-processed food. That's really important. The food you put in your body, the way you nourish yourself is going to play a big part in how you age. And then movement of some kind, like you said, the very least walk, and then rest and get that 7 to 9 hours. If you start with those three things and you stay away from processed food, stay away from things that are going to spike your glucose levels, your blood sugar, that are going to put your body sort of into turmoil. And then, you start setting yourself up for disease. If you can stay away from like fructose corn syrup and the bad oils, bad seed oils, then you already given yourself a jump start. And then from there, do a little bit more research, work with a health coach, somebody like you or myself, who can really pinpoint your issues, because we have our condition and we have our constitution, and our constitution is our genetics, it's our ancestry, it's, the way we look and the way our bones are, whether we're big bone, small bone, how tall we are, what our eye color is. But just because our ancestors were maybe heavy set a generation or two behind us doesn't mean that you have to say, well, it runs in the family, because you have control over your condition. And that's taking control over what you put in your body, how you move, and how you rest.
Yeah, that's so true. We've got so much family history on both sides of our family. Both with my husband and with myself, and both of our parents on both sides, that it has become so important to me to put my health number one with the way I eat and the way I exercise and my sleep and these different components, because you can ward off. And I think about my husband, his mother had open heart surgery by the time she was 50. And back then, open heart surgery was it. After that, they couldn't do anything else. And my husband has been active all of his life, a jogger every day of his life. And he gets very frustrated because he's had to have a couple of stents. And yet my thought process and what I encourage him with is, yes, but think about your mom who never took care of her body, and she had a triple bypass. And look at you, you've been able to manage the heart conditions that you're probably genetically predisposed to, and that the doctors are always amazed when they go in and do the heart cath at how strong a heart he's got. So, I would encourage people to really think about starting, for one thing, as young as you can, but even as we're aging, it's never too late to get started.
Never too late. If you brush it off, that's a mindset that needs to be changed, that it's too late. Why bother? The why bother is kind of an excuse. And change is very difficult, especially the older we get. And that's really, I encourage you to seek out either a group or an individual who is a health practitioner who can help you with small, sustainable changes over a period of time. Because it's very difficult. We're resistant to change. We're creatures of habit, and we need to change our habits, but it only happens slowly, not abruptly. And that's why quick fixes don't work. So you need support. So reach out for support, because it is attainable. It is doable. Whatever it is that works for you, find that, just like with exercise, find that way that you can start adding the healthy things into your life, like the good foods. Some of the things I just say to my clients, one is start with hydration, and two, start reading labels. If there's additives in anything, then don't eat it. That's a processed food.
Yeah.
So try to do the perimeter of the market. Part of what I do with my clients is supermarket tours. I actually take them through aisle by aisle, mostly the perimeter where all the fresh food is. And I go and do makeovers, cupboards and refrigerators in their homes. And we throw out a lot. Yes. And I teach them how to read labels. That's really important.
It is important, that's for sure. And I do the same, and I actually teach a class at the University of South Florida most semesters. And that's one of the things that, because I don't take a whole class with me, although that would be a fun thing to do, but teaching them things like that and teaching them how to maximize the good. Because I know in my own life, with having had such severe migraines, getting off the processed food was probably the number one thing that helped the reduction of my migraines.
Absolutely. Hands down. Yeah. Hands down. Migraines, I would say 85% of them are caused by what you put in your body. Now, stress plays a big part too. Yes. And that's why I suggest meditation, because that slows things down. That takes, cortisol, which is our stress hormone. If that jumps up, then everything else starts to fall down within us. So you really want to stay relaxed. That helps people, my clients who have had headaches, who added meditation to their life. The headaches between that and good diet and good rest and movement has really helped them.
Yes.
And, it's again, lifestyle can get rid of, really, as we know, food is medicine. Medicine is food. We start there and then we go and add the other elements that are so important.
And actually, it's very interesting to me because here in Florida, where I live, I actually went to a headache clinic and did not realize it was going to be like a holistic type of thing. But by that time with my migraines, I was addicted to Vicodin. And so I went there to get off the Vicodin. But what they actually taught, the number one thing, get off the processed foods and the sugar. And then everything that they taught us was a holistic approach with the stretching, with the walking, with the sleeping. Just everything they taught us was
better than that.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, you said something really important, sugar, because I mentioned it earlier in the show, but sugar is an addictive poison. Yes. It has no value. It only has destructive components for us. So really trying, I do sugar detoxes for my clients and help them because, again, try to go cold turkey, taking sugar out, very difficult. Yeah. So you have to, and there's sugar in many things, which is why it's so important to read labels, but that will cause migraines in all kinds of other repercussions. Yeah. So sugar is one of the most important things. That's why I was saying high fructose corn syrup, sugary drinks, soft drinks, worst things for you in the world. So really, again, find somebody who knows, who can work with you and your goals and your individual genetics and how you can change your condition. You really can.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any last minute words of wisdom you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, just basically, I would say it's never too late, and to start right away, small baby actionable steps. If you do that, then you're on your way to success. So, but again, if you abruptly try to do everything too quickly and want an overnight fix, that isn't sustainable and that isn't really reality. So I would say, live your best life. Think about who you are, and that self-care, self-love to you, the way you care about yourself is the number one most important thing. And just go for it. Don't wait. Start today. Start today.
Awesome. And where can people find you?
So the best way to find me is at my website, which is Balanced Life by Debi, DEBI.com. And on there right away, a little pop-up will pop up, and we have a 3-day spring detox, getting ready for bikini season. And then there's a reach out to me. So opt in for the detox, you automatically are reaching out to me. But you can email me also at Deb Boyle, DEBBOYLE at mac.com, and tell me you heard the show and you want to talk. I do a free 1-hour intake where we do a consultation, all individualized to you, and we can figure out what's going to work for you the very best. And we'll put you on the road.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. Appreciate your input. And I love your work. Of course, it's much like I do, except I don't do the fitness portion, but such important work, as you say, finding a health coach and a fitness coach can really change the game for people.
Big time. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. So thank you so much for having me. It was so great to share.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lynn.
You have been listening to the Living Life Naturally podcast, where we're on a mission to inform, inspire, and encourage women to live their best life confidently, joyfully, and freely from what's been holding them back. For show notes and free resources, visit holistic-healthandwellness.com. And I'd be delighted if you'd follow us on socials to connect further. If you enjoyed this show, why not share it with your friends? If you found good value, chances are they will too. And of course, a 5-star review on iTunes is always greatly appreciated, as much as I appreciate you listening. So until next time, live life naturally and joyfully.